everyone, my name is Lauren Lebouef. I'm a San Diego-based model and influencer and collaborator through social media, and let's get right into this interview. Bye!
Okay, so question number one. What type of high school did you go to?
I went to a Christian high school. It was private, so it was very small. It was, I actually started going there in the fourth grade, and they have a junior high and then also high school, so it was just really small. I think there was like maybe 500 in the class of seventh grade through all the way through 12th, so
Wow.
super.
Were you a Christian all throughout high school?
Yes.
Were you ever bullied or picked on for your faith?
Um, no, not really. And I think that just kind of comes from, being from a Christian high school and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and just having a lot of, Christian friends. It was never like, I'm going to sit here and make fun of her because of what she believes in. But I, of course, did have, like non-Christian friends who also like didn't really get, what I believe in. They're like, like what is this whole,
Yeah.
God thing? So it was never like make fun of, but it was, I think, questionable for like my friends who didn't know God or anything. So yeah.
If you like were bullied outside of school about it, how did you deal with it?
Um, well, if I was, I guess to like advice for people who are being bullied, I would say, just to really not give into that. And I know it's really hard, but just to really surround yourself with, friends who have the same mindset as you and have the same beliefs as you. That's always gonna like help back you up. And then for those times where you are around those friends who aren't, in the word and are kind of like, oh, what is this girl doing? Let me make fun of her for it. It's kind of like, now you have in your head, like, well, I do have friends who understand me and that's okay. And not to be like super defensive about it and just be like, yeah, like that's, that's what I believe in. And just kind of like, not be too upset about it. So it is
Yeah.
going to happen probably, but that's advice, I guess.
Awesome. Since you went to a Christian school, how did you go about sharing your faith outside of school?
Um, well, I had a couple of like Bible classes and stuff that we would kind of go out and talk about our faith. But I think honestly the most like effective is probably just the way that you act. Like in certain situations, if there's peer pressure involved and stuff, it's like how are you going to act to show God is prominent in your life, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say that's a big thing to not only speak about God and like try and have people, come to that or come to Him, but definitely your actions, because they're going to be like, wait, this girl or this guy is different, why are they different? And they might, start asking you about like, what you believe in or,
Yeah.
why you're different or why you don't want to go to this one party or something like that. So I think that definitely speaks volume, and especially if you're not comfortable with like sharing your faith and stuff,
Yeah.
I would say that's a good way to bring people to God.
Was there ever a time you could remember that you had a chance to like share your faith and you didn't, like out of fear? And if so, how did you deal with like, I guess maybe the guilt of not doing it?
Um, I don't. I feel like because I did look at this question, I was like, well, I have shared my faith, but I was really scared in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I could talk about that. But I was asked to like share my testimony in front of my whole school, like my junior year, and it was
Wow.
like so terrifying. I'm like, why? What is the point? Like, I don't even have like a story. And I think a lot of people kind of get in that mindset, and they're like, no, I'm not going to share God, and I'm not going to share my testimony because it's not important. And so I would say to kind of for those who are like fearful in that, just to like I really had to tell myself, like, okay, everybody has a story, and sure, maybe it's not an insane testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't come from, a crazy background, or I didn't have something insane happen in my life. But it just made me realize, like, that, a lot of people are out there like that. They've grown up in the Christian home, and, they've always been taught these things, but people need to hear that that's also an important testimony. And it does speak, it speaks pretty loudly. And so I just kind of had to get over that fear. And then I, talked about it in front of the school and stuff. And it just, a lot of like teachers came up to me and they're like, wow, that was great. And it just really goes to show, like, not to be afraid, or, not to think that your story isn't important, because, it most likely will be the same situation somebody else is in, and they probably need to hear that, and they need to hear your story or something like that. So, yeah, I would say definitely for those who are scared, just to know that somebody out there does, need to hear your story, and that it could possibly speak to them and lead them to God or something. So, yeah.
Awesome. Was your experience of being a Christian high school different than you expected?
Um, I guess a little bit, because, nobody's perfect, but you do grow up expecting that, everyone's going to be, it'll be normal, like it is a Christian school. We wear uniforms. There probably won't be, too much drama. And I guess going into it, you kind of think that, but in the back of your head, it is high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was, I guess, a different expectation when I thought, like, oh, nobody's going to, do like bad things or whatever. But there's plenty of times who I'd kind of had to separate myself from certain friend groups or anything, and just to stay distant. Not that I was never going to talk to them again, but it just really was eye-opening to be like, well, we live in a sinful world, so it's easy to fall into temptation, and you just kind of have to step back and be like, well, I believe what I believe. So I think that was a different kind of thing for me. I didn't really expect. I'm like, wow, like, bad things do happen in a Christian school, which is sounds kind of dumb. Like, obviously it's gonna happen, but yeah.
Was it ever like lonely being a Christian in high school?
I don't think so. Just because, like I said before, yeah, I definitely had an awesome, like, hardcore, Christian girls and stuff, and just to, like, lean on. So yeah.
Were there ever times you felt like giving up and going with the crowd? And if so, like, how did you get back grounded in your faith to, like, not let the temptation overtake you?
A time, definitely, just constantly, praying about things, and just knowing that God is the center of your life. Of course, there's going to be times where, we're going to want to, like, push him aside and stuff, but that's definitely been really helpful, because when you have, like, God in the front of your mind, or just anything like that, it's really easy to just be like, hey, I don't need to do that. I don't need to, fall into temptation. Sometimes it doesn't even cross your mind. And I don't know, I guess that would be very important. And then I know we're probably going to talk about dating already, but my boyfriend has definitely been a big part of that. Just like, both of us really having the center of God, not only in our lives, but in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, just always a reminder. It's like, hey, I don't need to, fall into that temptation. There's no point. And we kind of, like, keep each other accountable for that. So.
Awesome. By the way, you guys are super cute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Were there ever times, like, outside of school that people made you feel kind of, like, ashamed of your faith, or, like, I don't know, feel different about it?
I guess not so much ashamed, but just like I had said before, like, they'll probably, I'm sure they've talked about it when I'm not there, or just been like, why does this girl believe in what she believes in, or like, why doesn't she want to go and have fun, like, because that's their way of saying things are fun might not be, to your standard kind of thing. So I guess was the question like how I deal with it, or
yeah, like, yeah, what'd you do about it, like, to just not let it bother you so much?
Once again, just surrounding yourself with other Christians, or people who believe in that, and also, like, people who have the same interest in you. Maybe your idea of fun with your other friends isn't, to go out and party, or, like, do, crazy things or whatever. So then you have that friend group. It's like, hey, I can go hang out with them, and I know for sure I'm not going to be in a weird situation or anything. So, yeah, I guess that.
Awesome. What was one of the best things you remember about being a Christian in high school?
Definitely, cheerleading was, like, such a big part of my life. Well, in high school, and, like, it's only 4 years, but it was so great. I started on varsity as a freshman, and we went to camp every year, and I think that was a big aspect, especially when I became a senior, because that was the year I was captain, and it was just really eye-opening. Like, I was able to, share verses at practice, and I just remember before we left for my senior year for cheer camp, it's like I was just reminding them and everybody just to really be a light. And I shared a verse that just talked about like being different and being set apart because we're a Christian school. You know, we have Jesus on our cheer uniform just to really show that. And I ended up getting a leadership award, and that was just like I think a really big part of my high school, you know, career, and just being like, wow, Lauren, like I'm like super shy and super scared sometimes, but it just showed me like God was like, hey, you can do this and you can lead this team. And so yeah, it was cool to get that award from like not, you know, they weren't all Christian schools, so it was cool to get that and just know like in my heart, like it's not me doing it, it's definitely God like leading me through that. Because throughout high school I was definitely like shyer, so I kind of like built that up until my senior year. So yeah, that's a big part.
If you could give one piece of advice to any Christian who might be struggling in high school, what would that advice be?
Just struggling in general,
Yeah. Or like maybe with their faith or just in general, either way.
Uh-huh. I'm sure everybody hears this all the time, but I didn't. You're not going to realize until you're out of high school. But high school is such a short amount of time, and whether you love it or you hate it, you got to know that like it's going to be over for one, which is sad for me because I loved it, but or it's going to be a great thing for somebody who's really struggling. But either way, you're not alone in struggling. Like you know, I have and other people do, whether it's schoolwork or it's you know, getting sucked into like the sinful aspect of people wanting to pressure you and stuff. Just know that it is going to be over, and maybe there's going to be times where you turn down hanging out with friends and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're going to have so much fun. Like, why, you know, why God is it like that I can't go to this? But you just have to realize, like, first of all, there'll be like other times to go to those kind of things, but also like how much you're gonna gain instead of going to something that could possibly like you know tear you down. And it's definitely way better in the long run. So definitely some good advice. Yeah.
One tip for sharing the gospel in high school.
Well, since I didn't go to public school, I don't exactly know. I think how to like approach it, but I would definitely say like I think a lot of people automatically think like Christian, they think judging. So I would definitely, you know, really approach it in a good way, like just to let them know, like, hey, I'm not judging you for your lifestyle, and like, yeah, I would definitely say come at it with that, you know, kind of mindset, and just really engage in like being their friend and being helpful and really in your actions. And then when there is an opportunity, God will, you know, open that up and be like, okay, this is the opportunity that you're going to tell them about God. And you'll kind of you'll pray about it, and then I hope that it will just like flow out and just be really easy. Because when the time comes, like God will, you know, prepare you and their heart as well if it's ready and it's right for them to hear about God. So yeah, definitely just kind of being open and not like judging or anything. So
awesome. Now you kind of already answered this, but tips for finding like-minded friends.
um, like-minded. Yeah, I guess just being open and you know, talking about what your kind of standards are or anything, and finding interests in not just God, but also like say, you know, for me it was cheer, and then like you know you move forward, like see what else like they're into, and like if their lifestyle is the same as yours, and definitely like they can potentially be really good friends, you know, and like bring you up and stuff.
Awesome. How do you keep high and godly standards when it comes to dating in high school?
I high standards. Well, I would definitely say don't settle for you know something like less than, or don't settle for I don't know. Definitely. Well, first, like becoming really good friends with the person first. You don't want to like jump into anything, and you want to make sure that like you're not pressured into like liking somebody, because then the relationship will definitely, you know, kind of crumble if that's what your foundation is on. So I would definitely like say, you know, become, you know, find out a lot about them, and then you know see what their standards are for you and like what yours are, and yeah, just become really close with them first, and then start thinking about, the whole dating aspect and stuff.
What could you or did you do if you ever felt like pressure to settle?
I haven't exactly felt like pressured or anything, but for somebody who is, I would say, just make sure that you're not like, once you start to feel pressured by other people, just either say like, hey, like I don't, feel like I don't like it when you do that, or like when you
Yeah.
tell me to like pressure me into liking somebody, or just not, once again, like not surround yourself with them, and just know like in your heart, like if this is right for you, or if you should even be talking with this guy, or maybe it is just these people like putting that thing in your head and stuff. So I would definitely say just like stay true to what you're thinking, and then not like pay attention to what other people are saying and like pressuring you to do.
One piece of advice you have or ever received from someone else about Christian dating in high school or just dating in general?
Definitely to keep God the center of your relationship. It's really made an impact in just anything I do, like any relationship, but especially with my boyfriend and I really liked the like analogy that my Bible teacher had said, and it's like picturing you're dating like a triangle, like just you and your boyfriend or whatever, and so like you guys are at the bottom, and like it's your boyfriend and you, and you're so focused on each other that it's like it's hard to get close. You guys are like the corners at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this makes sense. But once you really look to God, and you really want it to make a point to make that the center of your relationship, and you look up to God, and God is at the top of the triangle in the center, and you both just slowly become like coming closer together, and it really is true, and it's like a weird kind of analogy type thing, but it's true. Once you focus on God and not just each other, you really do start growing, and not only growing towards God, but also together. It's really like a strong bond type thing that you wouldn't be able to do without God. Like we can't stay together like on our own type thing. So
Maybe like what could you do if you feel pressured to date because everyone around you is dating and in love, and you're just like, there's me.
yeah, I know. I feel like a lot of girls like kind of have that like struggle, and they're like, well, I can't find anybody. Like I get a lot of direct messages like all these guys like only want one thing, and they're in it for the wrong reasons, and or they're like, I'm single and my friends have like boyfriends and stuff, and it definitely is a hard place. But I would say think about like, well, what if you did like randomly rush into a relationship, and that was all like the only reason you did that was because you wanted to like just say you had a boyfriend, or
Mm-hmm.
say that you wanted to fit in with other couples, but it's just gonna make you realize like, wow, like is that really the only reason, like I want to be with somebody? And then I think it's gonna really make somebody take a step back and be like, wow, like I don't need that. And I would definitely say, once again, surround yourself with good friends, and your friends could be single, or they could be dating somebody else, but if they are truly like a good friend and stuff, they're obviously gonna make time for you, and yeah, all that stuff. So
um, Tips for like content while you're single in high school.
hmm being content, definitely like making sure, I don't know, like for me, I guess it's hard for me to ask or answer this question because Josh and I have been together for so long, but we did like long distance when I was a junior, and so like I wasn't single or anything, but it was very eye opening. Like he was gone for a whole year, and I had time to like just kind of focus on myself, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of made me realize like, if you were like single and stuff, like what else could you focus on, or like what else is gonna make you happy and stuff. And it's definitely like working hard in school, and like finding a passion. Like obviously for me, I was on cheer, so I would say not to like, well, I guess like keep your mind busy, but also just being like, this is the time for me, and whether you're single or not, you should always have that. But I would definitely say that's a good thing to like help you stay confident, and like just being like, hey, like, yeah, I am single, but that's never a bad thing. So yeah, just finding the time for yourself, I guess.
Tips for like staying pure while you're in a relationship?
Yes, I really like this one. You definitely want to be open about it, of course, unless you're like dating for only like a month. You don't want to like bring that up right away, I guess. But always being open about that is going to be so helpful because a relationship without communication is like totally just nothing. I've learned from experience and stuff that communication is the foundation of everything. So it's just really good to be open about that and like, hey, like there's some things I don't want to do, or like physically, or even just like talking about, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to set the standard and not being like in a rude way, like, hey, don't do that, or hey, I'm not going to do that with you. But just being like, what are your, like, how do you see this? Or what is your opinion on, this? And they will, like, if they, love you and they really want to be with you, they're obviously going to talk about that. And, you'll find out, where you guys meet, or maybe you don't meet, and you're like, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, do I really want to be with this
Mm-hmm.
person? And it's definitely a big tip for me, just kind of like talking about it and not being afraid to or anything. So yeah.